All right, it's recording just so you know. So if you got anything smart to say, now is the time.
I do. I have something I was thinking about. I mean, I heard it and then I kind of changed it around and repurposed it in the for servant leadership.
Okay.
Rules without relationship equals rebellion.
I like that. Are those the same? I'm too far removed from your manuscript to remember. But is that in part and parcel of when I said there was something there about the 3 R's concept, or is that completely different?
Yeah, that's completely different. But I was working on the manuscript last night, and that kind of popped up in my head.
Rules without relationship equals rebellion.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think that's, you can adapt that to anything. I mean, you can adapt it to definitely being a leader in the QSR industry, but I mean, you can adapt it as a parent, you can adapt it in any industry. But
yeah, I mean, how much I faced rebellion every time I tried to institute rules here in our house with Sam. It's like, hey, when Tiffany would always tell me, like, you don't have that 18-year track record with him.
Right.
Like,
that's hard.
Right? So.
I mean, it's even hard if you have the track record.
Yeah. So are you ready for the revelation that I had?
I am. Since all you did was say you had a revelation, you didn't give me a heads up.
So anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows how big of a fan I am of the author of this book, which is Steven Pressfield. This book was a huge inspiration to my book. But Tiffany and I were on our way home yesterday from Whole Foods, which has sort of become our Saturday night date night spot. And I had remembered that I had just seen Pressfield on Andrew Huberman's podcast. And Huberman is a big neuroscience, human optimization kind of guy.
Right.
And he had Pressfield on there. So I thought that was so interesting because he's having a creative on his show that mainly talks about science.
Neuroscience.
Yeah. And so we were listening to on the way home last night, and I can't tell you how many. This book has been a yearly read for me ever since it was gifted to me in 2015.
That's The War of Art?
The War of Art.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've read it so many times. I've read this exact phrase so many times, and then not this phrase, this passage so many times. But when Huberman read it to Pressfield, it hit me differently. Would you think there's something there to that as well, as sort of sometimes you glean things if you read the Bible out loud rather than, you know what I mean?
That's why I like to read books more than once. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a lot. And that, like your latest manuscript.
Yeah.
I've read it 5 times.
Right.
Yeah.
And
every time I read it, something else comes out. Oh, why didn't I notice that the first time? Why didn't it hit me this way the first time? And I think that's what you're saying, right?
Somewhat, but it was when I heard it rather than just read it.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so when I heard Huberman say this quote, it hit me way differently than any other time when I've read it the past 10 years. And the quote is this: "The more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it." The more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we will feel toward pursuing it. Why did that hit me so hard? Because for the longest time, and I talk about it in this book, I thought the resistance that Pressfield talks about, I speak to it as being default, that I was feeling, I thought it was all geared towards writing, and maybe for a time or two in my life that was it. But it's not what I feel resistance toward. What do I feel resistance toward? What is the most important call or action to my soul's evolution?
Well, what do you feel resistance towards?
What have I been trying to get out of ever since I've been in it?
Yeah. I mean, you do. I mean, you love and embrace the leadership side of the QSR industry.
Yeah.
I mean, that you enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
The operation side, you struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your resistance?
Yes.
You know,
When I thought about it, I'm like, oh shit. Writing is just hard. Doesn't mean it's I don't feel resistance toward
right?
it. And I just thought about that, and I thought about that, and I thought about it, I'm like, holy shit. Like that's what's most important to my soul's evolution. It's kind of I've sort of danced around that without actually saying it the way the Pressfield said it is you and I have talked about if I just focus on God's business, i.e. being a leader in the marketplace where Jesus was, then he'll focus on this business.
Right.
Right? At least that's what I believe. And for the time being. But man, I mean, that hit me over the head. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it as soon as I heard it. I'm like, that's it. That's why I have so much resistance toward the industry itself. Sometimes I get really frustrated with it. Sometimes I want out, especially the operations piece of it. But I just got it confused because Pressfield mainly talks about resistance toward the creative side of things. And he was saying in the podcast that he gets up at 4:45 and then he goes to the gym. And the reason why he does that is because it's a hard thing. Then as soon as he does that hard thing, then the rest of his day is easy, which is something that I subscribe to. But for his work, the reason why he does that is because he says it's a rehearsal for the thing that which he feels the most resistance toward, which is writing.
Mm-hmm.
I work out in the morning. I write in the morning because those are rehearsals for what set me up toward the thing that I find the most resistance from, and that is my work.
Sure.
So if I can get up and I can write 1,000 words and kick my own dick in on the track, that shift today, it's not going to be a problem.
No, so that's your adrenaline rush to get you through the rest of the day. I understand that. I mean, there's two things I think when you say that. One, and I can't remember who said this, successful people do the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
Or the things they don't like to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Two, in this industry, QSR industry, and the trajectory that you're on
Mm-hmm.
in a very, very, very short amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, what, 2 years, 2.5 years, we're talking about part-time sandwich artist to a senior district manager, to progressing in, other brands, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be able to have done that without being able to have done the operation side.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you resist it. You go, I hate this. I hate the operation side.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to acknowledge that you do have a talent for it.
Right.
Because if you didn't have a talent for it, there's no way you'd be where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I would have promoted you if you didn't have a talent for it.
Yeah.
I promoted people that maybe weren't the best operational people, but they still knew operations. They still, that's part of being successful in the QSR industry.
Mm-hmm.
Is you got to know the operations,
right?
And you love the leadership side of it.
Mm-hmm.
You love the developing people. You love, watching people succeed. Which I do too.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's my reward.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that's a greater reward sometimes for me than profit, but
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to have a strength in operations.
Yeah, and maybe that's me trying to run away from. I mean, that is. I mean, I said that I have continuing education in self-sabotage. I mean, running away from what you're good at. might be a form of self-sabotage. And that's actually something that was brought up in my IDP with my direct report a couple of days ago. She asked me, what do you want to do? What path can we put you on to where you want to go? Where do you want to go? And I said, I want to get out of operations. She kind of looked at me and she's like, you want to get out of operations?
Yeah. I mean, because technically, if you just look at the different divisions or the different segments of the QSR industry, you're in the operations path. You know, that's the path that you are on. I mean, and I think leadership is, leadership in the QSR industry it has, there's aspects of it that are operational.
Yeah.
They have to be.
Yeah.
No.
But that just hit me so hard.
I think that's great.
The soul's evolution. So it's like, okay, that makes more sense. Because I want to someday be in a cabin in the woods and pound away in a typewriter. But is that in alignment right now with where he's calling me to become? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it's a good analog for me to pull from time to time, because that's one of the things I do lean on as a leader in operations is my ability to tell stories. I think the athletics is a good analog for me to lean on as a leader in operations, for me to use metaphors and other things to get people to buy what I'm selling, and the people that I lead, that is. But I used to think that any one of those things, writing or professional athletics, was the thing. And I think they're just supplements now to what my soul's evolution is, which is, I think, leadership. And I don't know if that's, as you and I have talked about, does that transcend this industry? It might one day, but this is where I am right now.
This is where you're developing leadership. And it is actually a great place. I talked about this last week. Probably every podcast I talk about kids need to have the first job in a QSR industry. But that goes along with that. It's a great place to develop leadership quickly, and it's a great place to have leadership tested.
Yeah.
Tested hard. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made to come to the realization of I wanted to be a servant leader. But, I'm sure you could find an employee or 100 employees that used to work in our industry that would probably in the beginning have said, David, a servant leader, really?
Talk about that.
So,
because I've only ever known this gentleman to be a servant leader. And that's why I asked him to.
So I was very rules focused. I was very profit focused. It was my way or the highway. This is my business. This is our stores. This is my, blood, sweat, and tears. Bud's, and
Bud is his former business partner.
And you're not buying into this. Kind of the pendulum kind of swung the other way. Then where I was very slow to fire. But so I remember I was on a school board one time, and we interviewed parents before they enrolled their kids. And so I was up to do an interview that evening for a potential parent. Sat down, and this kid looked really familiar to me, but I couldn't place him. And halfway through asking the questions, and why do you want to send your kids here? There was a private school, so there was a process. And it hit me where I remembered him from. And I looked at him, I said, did you ever work at a Subway? He goes, yeah. And I said, well, I'm David. You worked at one of my stores. And he looked at me and he turned white as a ghost, and he looked at me and he said, I hated that job. Hated it. And that really hit me hard. He probably hadn't been with us. He hadn't worked for us maybe for 5 or, his kid, he worked for us when he was in college, and he was enrolling a first grader. So 5, 6, 7 years had passed, right?
Yeah.
And it really hit me. And I'm like, if you would have asked that kid at that time, he was working for us, If I was a servant leader to the manager that was running that store, and then ultimately to the people that were working underneath her, he would have said, no way. It was, that's the story.
So are you being too hard on yourself? Do you think you're the reason why you hated that job? Or is that what you're insinuating when you tell that story?
I think the reason he hated that job is because at that time, I did not model servant leadership. And because I wasn't modeling servant leadership, then, the levels below me were not modeling that. Ultimately, then his manager, his assistant manager, the crew chiefs, those kind of people weren't modeling that. Because it was all about, if I don't hit this number every single week, Deb's going to come down on me like a ton of bricks. We said this at the beginning of this. Rules without relationship equals rebellion.
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
Rules.
What does that look like? Because that's something that I'm stepping into now. So for anybody who doesn't know this, David was alluding to the rapid ascension of yours truly. It's only by the grace of God that that's happening. But 2 days from now, we're doing the transition. So less than 3 periods in position with this new company, I'm now taking over another store. So again, for whatever reason, fast trajectory, but that's the whole point of what we're trying to talk about in the show, is that if you guys use the skill sets that you guys have outside of the industry in this one, you can kill it, and you can have a hockey stick moment. And so on Tuesday, I'm going through the transition of taking over a second operation with this new concept and company. And that's one thing that I'm going to have to do again, is kind of just level set, get to know everybody before we start instituting Hunter Law.
Right. Exactly. I mean, so I can walk in, this is, you make the sandwich this way, you make the burger this way, you make the taco this way, you do not deviate from that. You have, you can have a grace of 1% in waste. You could have a grace, time. You got to have everybody through the drive-through at 3 minutes and dot. And I can walk in and walk out.
Yeah.
Or I can walk in and sit down, or I say, hey, Hunter, let's go out for a cup of coffee, or let's sit down and talk. Hey, I heard you used to own a gym. Tell me about that. You know, from knowing me, I would spend sitting down in the dining room probably 70% not talking about the business. 80, we'd talk about, hey, let me tell you what's going on in my life. Or, hey, tell me what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
How's your wife? Hey, kid started kindergarten. Tell me about that. 30% was business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I wanted to develop the relationship first, because I know if I develop the relationship first, the employees then were able to, they would loyally follow the direction. I had an employee, and you and I have talked about this, we've joked about this. She said, if David ever killed someone, I'd bury the bodies for him. That loyalty doesn't come without relationship.
Yeah.
And that loyalty then goes, David asked me to work on my customer service at this store. I'm going to kill it and work on customer service. But it took me a long time to get to that.
Yeah.
A lot of prayer, a lot of failing,
So going back to what kicked this episode off, that quote about the greater a calling or an action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance you will feel toward it. How do we help people discern a general malaise for the job or the industry versus it actually being the call to action most important for their soul's evolution.
Well, you tell your story.
Well,
Let me share, without being braggadocious. Let me share my story with you. You know, I was, I mean, I think you in your second book really shares that story, and I hope everybody gets a chance to read that, because it kind of, even though it's written as fiction, it really brings your story to life in a way.
Yeah.
Like people can see themselves in that more so maybe than this. I mean, a little, in this is a how-to, I guess, which I love. What, who, what, why, where, how. The other one is, this is how I applied this in a way.
Yeah.
This is, you share that story. And let me tell you my story. I took this job in the QSR industry to make some money because I needed it. And now let me tell you what I made out of that.
Yeah.
And I think Miss Employee, Mr. Employee, you have that same thing in you. And this is what I see in you. They may not see it in them.
Yeah.
And this is what I see in you. And you can, this could be you.
Yeah.
I started in the QSR industry at McDonald's as a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
I had other jobs in between there and went,
Yeah.
but I came back to the QSR industry because to me, it was a vehicle for success.
Where did you go from there?
Where did I go from where?
Well, you said didn't you?
So I went to McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's all through high school.
Yeah.
Then I actually was, going to college for pre-med.
Weren't you like the youngest manager there? Yeah.
I was I was the youngest. I was back then. We weren't as concerned about labor laws. I was a 17-year-old manager at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have to be 18. I was a 17-year-old manager. And then I went to school and I was studying pre-med and took a semester off to earn some more money for college and started working in the hotel industry. And it had the same rapid growth that you did, and eventually worked my way up in the hotel industry to the director of sales and marketing for a hotel management company. So I was the number 2 in the company. And I was 24, maybe. And then my partner found out about this weird chain that was franchising and was looking for people to throw some money in. And I didn't know him. My wife knew him. They were distantly related. And actually my sister-in-law went to work for him, and then we ended up getting involved. And then he would call me all the time and ask me business questions. And finally I said, hey, so I came on board then to run it full time.
And that was in what year?
So we opened, the first store opened in 1988. I was involved.
The store that I managed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was involved, but I was in a way silent, but I was involved because he and I would talk, but I wasn't in the stores and that. So I took the reins in 91, 91 probably. And then that's all I've known.
Yeah. And then you got to as big as 12 units? 10?
10, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd buy and sell and do things like that, yeah.
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 Did that for 37 years and then oversaw 60 stores?
Right.
Yeah.
So when we sold, went to work for the person that we sold the stores to. And then I took over Grand Rapids and Lansing for him. And then eventually I took over the state of Michigan, which was, 60. Well, actually, it was, 60 stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throughout the entire state, from the, the east side to the west side to the north side to the south side of the state.
So now that you're, for lack of a better word, just consulting in the industry, what do you find what are you feeling the most resistance toward for your soul's evolution? Is it still this industry? Is it something else? Is it your book?
My book.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my book a little bit, I feel, there is a certain amount of imposter syndrome that I'm not an author, I'm a servant leader.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish that someone would have just sat down with me in the beginning. And I did have some mentors that did or tried to guide me there. But that I wish someone would have said to David, rules without relationship equals rebellion in the beginning. And hopefully that's what I can, in my really small way, my book will do.
Yeah.
But just the act of, I just have to, I get so caught up in the, oh, wait, I should add this. No, I should take this out. I'm over editing it. I think I'm over editing it.
Do you think that it's going to be, because there's obviously a market for it in the QSR space. I mean, talk about an industry that's just starving for leaders due to the higher rates of turnover than any other industry. Are you going to gear it toward that?
So I'm a Christian. And to me, the ultimate servant leader was Jesus.
Yep.
And so my book is written from that perspective.
Right.
It's not necessarily theological. It's more as the man Jesus and how he led and how to model that. And so I think those truths are adaptable for anyone in any industry. Yes, I come from the perspective of the QSR industry. But, I have other experiences in my background that I think would also, my father was an educator. I think it's a great book for teachers. I think it's a great book for leaders in any industry. It's a great book for dads and moms. Those truths of servant leadership can be applied anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm writing it from a QSR perspective.
So are you going to niche it into QSR? Like, is the subtitle, so if the working title is servant leader, is the subtitle something, going to be QSR focused? Because from the commercialization standpoint of it, I'm like, dude, I would push you to do have that be QSR focused, but especially with your experience tied to it, it's like, oh, hand in glove, duh. But I also don't want to sway you if you're wanting it to be more like a John Maxwell, very, very universal.
So I Maxwell's I love Maxwell. I love Carnegie. Those were all universals. How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Franklin Covey, those kind of things. They're universals. So right now I'm leading towards universal, but we'll see what's laid on my heart.
Yeah. How far away are you, do you think, from being published ready?
How far away do I think it is, or how far away is it?
Well, I mean, I guess the first time around, like this one took a long time to write, just because it's the first time, and the first time you do anything, it's going to take a long time to do it, and you're constantly you don't know what it takes until you actually do it. Where the second book, from purely a time standpoint, might take just as long as it took this one to get to the shelves, but I feel like it's just going so much faster this time around. I'm just judging myself way less.
Yeah.
And like in between drafts, I was just thinking in multiple drafts with this next one, or the one that I was working, the one that my agent is now working on now, it's like, okay, yeah, this sucks, but I've still got, if I'm shooting for 15 to 20 drafts, I've still got another 10 drafts. So like, I don't need to over edit this thing. Let's just get through this one, throw it away, start the next one, right?
I mean, I have to get to that point.
Yeah. Thinking
Because
in multiple drafts?
Yeah, because I am, like I was up till 3:00 this morning reading it,
Mm-hmm.
changing the to a, and changing, that word to, can I find, and I mean, I'm talking prepositions. I'm not talking big words,
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's a long way away from being ready.
Mm-hmm.
In actuality, it's probably really close to being ready.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how many words is it?
I don't remember. I can look.
Okay.
Where's my phone?
And it's more.
I mean, it's an easy read.
Yeah.
It's definitely written from my experiences. So my experiences are QSR industry, hotel industry, school board, serving on a school board, and a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So it's written from my experiences, and I think most authors write from their experiences, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me see how many words. About 13,000.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. You know what my agent told me?
Huh.
When we talked on the phone, I think I talked to her. Yeah, I just talked to her yesterday. She has it right now.
Oh, did you send it?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's gonna get back to me either Monday or the day after. But she said how many words is it? And I said right now it's just shy of 16,000. She goes, oh, that's way too short.
Really?
I was like, what? And she's like, if it's a novel, it has to be at least 20,000. I'm like, oh god.
So you got to add some more chapters.
Because this one was 60,000.
Right.
I mean, and if you look at this one, I mean, that one's huge. And I'm just like, oh man, I gotta write something like that again. But so she's going through it and is gonna say you can beef it up here, you can beef it up there. But
well,
I'm thinking like, what more needs to be said? Like I thought I tried to make it as concise as I could. I was going for the less is more approach. If this one's verbose, I want to get to the point with this one. But
well, when I read it and I asked you some questions, I said, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I wrote some questions for you.
For today?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This makes me feel so smart. When somebody with 40 years experience starts asking me questions.
No, Socratic, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
How do you balance serving others with making tough decisions as a servant leader in the QSR industry?
How do I balance serving others with making tough decisions?
Yeah.
Something that you've told me, which is the good of the one versus the good of the many. If it's a tough decision to make a move on this person, whether it means an NOD, which is synonymous with a write-up, notice of discipline. Yeah, that sucks. That stings. That's going to be a crucial conversation that I'm having with that particular individual. But it's something that needs to be done for the good of that particular day part or shift, because people on that day part or shift have come to me saying, Hunter, can you please do something about this? Right? Because I don't want to lose the many over just...
So I think a better way to say that, because that can come across, I mean, I know I say that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What is best for my people? What is best for the people?
But there's,
You know,
there's nothing wrong with that statement.
No, what
The
is
good of the one
best?
versus the good of the
What
many,
is
like-
what is best for the people and the mission?
Yeah.
And if what's best for the people and the mission
Mm-hmm.
is to discipline this person,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to do it. We all have to make tough calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it with honesty and fairness.
Mm-hmm.
And honesty is, hey, something that I've adopted from you
Mm-hmm.
is you're very honest with people without making them, with it being the issue, not the person. Maybe you're in the wrong seat. That's a hunterism through and through.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not saying, hey, you're a screw up, you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, this is the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fix this.
Yeah.
What daily habits have you developed or are you developing that keep you focused on people, not power?
It just happened yesterday. So I have a rock star of an assistant general manager now. He is pretty much going to be able to allow me to focus at least 3/4, if not more than that, of my attention on the new store that I'm taking over. And one thing that we implemented this past week, and I'm already walking back on and eating humble pie on, is a grace period for when people punch in. So when I played football at Grand Valley, we had a special teams meeting at 2:30 on game day. And if you weren't in your seat ready to go at 2:20, there was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was instilled with me in terms of early is on time and on time is late.
Mm-hmm.
And so to separate the wheat from the chaff at my store, and my AGM was on board with this because we do have some people that just need to be held more accountable. We just said, okay, me and my AGM and I have talked about this. This is what we're doing. If you have a shift that begins at 9 and you clock in at 9:01, you're getting an NOD, period, amen. And we had an individual who was on their final. And so one more write-up would mean termination. And I discussed this with my AGM yesterday. And I said, so-and-so just clocked in at 4:02 for their 4 o'clock shift. They're on a final, like, based on what you and I have talked about, this person's terminated. But I also, but this individual has also taken over all the scheduling for me. And so he's having to rewrite the schedule. I mean, he's rewritten the schedule so many times now. And I just asked him, I said, do I need to walk back on this? Not only for you, so you're not having to constantly redo schedules all the time, but do I also need to take into consideration not just the individual, but also the shift managers who could really use that person on their shift? And he said, most businesses give a 5-minute grace period. And then if somebody's consistently clocking in 5 minutes or more after their shift, then we can take greater action with that. But I think this might be the better play. And I said, okay, great. Then I will walk back on that. I'll eat the humble pie. I'll tell everybody that I got too overzealous with wanting to have extreme accountability. And I guess that would be the answer to your question there. Instead of just implementing the power of Hunter law, because that's how Hunter runs his life, right? Mm-hmm. I have to also understand that everybody isn't Hunter, and I say that not in a conceited way. It's just that I clock in early. That's what I do. But I understand that life happens, and this is the world that we live in. If most businesses have a 5-minute grace period from when somebody clocks in, then I'm not going to put my AGM out to constantly be writing schedules, nor am I going to put my shift managers in a really tough spot who could use that person on their shift. So that's where I've changed, even in the past 72 hours.
So you checked in with the people, not just on the results.
Yeah.
And one of your people had a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's a servant leader.
Yeah.
It's not Hunter's idea. It's this person's idea, but we're going to implement it.
Yeah.
That it's funny that you brought up punctuality, because in the book, I actually talk about modeling the behaviors that you want to see in others. If you value punctuality, are you modeling that?
Mm-hmm.
If you say, we're going to meet at 2 for a check-in interview or whatever you want to say, whatever meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and you're the last to arrive, are you modeling punctuality?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Last question. Let's see. This is kind of subjective. How would you, or how do you measure success beyond profit?
Promotions. Mm-hmm. I'd say promotions. Can those things lead to profit? Yeah. And do they? Yeah. But for me, that's how I guess my story lives on, I guess, vicariously through somebody else. Cause you're like, yes, like this is not a stepping stone. This can be a real job for you. Like, team trainer now, shift lead, AGM, like, whoa, now you're starting to make some actual money. Like, this is where you didn't think this could happen, right? Nobody does. That's the game. All right.
So I wrote these questions out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wrote my answers. I'm going to read what I wrote on the last one.
Okay.
For measuring success. I look at the growth in people.
Mm.
Are they learning, thriving, and leading others well?
Mm-hmm.
Profits matter, but changed lives and strong character matter more.
Yeah.
I worded it differently, but
Mm-hmm.
you just said, I look at promotions.
Yeah.
Which is a good way to encapsulate this.
Mm-hmm.
Growth in people.
Mm-hmm.
We measure that in the QSR industry.
Mm-hmm.
We measure growth in people by promotion.
Yeah.
So that's a tangible measurement versus a subjective measurement.
Well, again, I'm a football player, so I think look at the coaching tree from Mike Holmgren in the 96 Packers.
Yeah.
You know who was on that staff? Andy Reid. You know who else was on that staff? Steve Mariucci.
Oh.
You know who else was on that staff? John Gruden.
So,
all on Mike Holmgren's staff. Like, that's the same thing that we're talking about.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Growth in people.
Yeah.
So after I did this the other day,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to think about stuff to ask you, because I really enjoyed that last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'd written this all out. I got this text message after I had done this. I'm going to find it here. Old employee. Maybe at least 5 years ago. Just out of the blue, I got this text message. David, I really miss working for you.
Mm.
Growth in people.
Yeah.
Changed lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
Profit matters. Changed lives matter more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you say it? In the customer service industry, the customer is the most important person. The employee is more important.
Oh yeah,
How do you say
customers first, employees are more first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And learning that lessons, profits flow.
Yeah. Because morale is profit.
Morale's profit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that that employee that said, I'd bury the bodies for you, if I walked into that store and said, I need you to bring your food costs down a percentage point. I need you to do this. And hey, you know what? We really've got to look at this situation. Just operationally stuff that we have to do in the QSR industry, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You don't think that employee would break their back to do it if I asked them?
Yeah, or if you just walked into where that person's working now and said, "Hey, I got a job for you."
Oh yeah. She'd bury the bodies.
She would walk off the floor. Didn't follow you. Yeah.
That, I think that's something that is developed out of servant leadership,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it's just, you know, rules without relationship equals rebellion.
Mm-hmm. Is that it for today?
That's good.
All right.
That's great.
So whatever the greater the resistance you're feeling to a call or action, that's what's most important for your soul's evolution.
Yep.
Maybe it's QSR. Oh.